This is the sound of
Not one, but two
outlaws and desperados.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So what are people listening to? Just, in case they're wondering what the hell's going on, what have I stumbled into something?
People are listening to Lost Property,
Yeah.
which is a mixed bag of everything. We talk about books, films, music, random little articles of things that are going on around the world. Like last week we talked about the man that was dressing as a clown and outside people's houses.
Did you have any scary clown dreams after that show?
I didn't, but I was interested to see how that developed as the week went on. I don't know if you saw that he actually got in touch with the newspaper anonymously and said that he was just doing it to spread cheer to people. And
No, I didn't, but that's kind of weird.
Yeah, he was saying it. He just did it as a bit of a laugh, and it wasn't. And he actually quashed any rumours. He's not actually gone around knocking on people's doors. It's just, he just generally just stands in random places to hopefully make people laugh, although it still is pretty scary.
Especially in the middle of the night. I could understand if it was during the summer, in the afternoon, but even then that would still be a little bit... But at night time, on street corners, it's kind of like taking clowning to an area of prostitution almost. It's almost like he's soliciting joy from people in a really creepy manner.
Clown.
Yeah. Hook a clown.
Yeah.
Hey baby, want to see some balloon animals? We started last week with your first entry into Kitty's book club, which was of course Eloise by Judy the Fiddler Finnegan, which I think, did you give a 2-star rating for that one?
I gave it 3.
Oh, you gave it 3? Oh right, you've been more generous than I remember. So what did you go with this week?
So this week I went with Penelope. Which is by Rebecca Harrington. And it's basically about a young girl who's a Harvard freshman. And I really, really actually quite enjoyed aspects of it. It was basically, the book's about her just trying to fit into Harvard. But she's quite a socially awkward character. But she's socially awkward in a way that it's endearing, because when you get people who are really just naturally cool and just make it look so easy to make friends and just fit into groups. Mm-hmm. She's not like that. She doesn't know what to say that's cool. She's a bit of a daydreamer. She's quite innocent. So she was a really endearing character. And the funny thing was as well, she didn't take her first semester at Harvard as seriously as her other freshmen, like fellow freshmen, so to speak. They were all planning out which lessons they wanted to take. They were constantly taking notes and studying, and she just wasn't like that. She was just like, it's my first year. I want to have a bit of fun, and I don't want to take it so seriously just yet because I'm still young and I don't know what I want to major in. And it made everyone else around her think that she was a bit strange because she should be taking it seriously.
Well, that's crazy. From my experience of being a student, everybody was doing that, and if you were planning on what you were doing in your first year, then you would be considered a bit strange.
I think if it was based in the UK, it'd be a bit different. I think everyone would be able to relate to her, but I think because it's such an established place to study as in Harvard, I think it was meant to kind of critique the people who do take it very seriously. And when I was reading it, I could actually see it being a potentially good indie film because it's quite funny in places. It's not like the dialogue's like really snappy and quick. It's kind of like a very dry sense of humour. I was thinking of things like Napoleon Dynamite and things like that when I was reading it. It's the kind of book where there's not a lot that happens.
It's more character based than it is sort of narrative based.
But I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5 because the ending I was a little bit disappointed by it because there was some things that happened in the book that I would have liked to have seen more resolve with, and that didn't happen. So it kind of just left me hanging, and I don't really like being left like that when I'm reading a book. I like everything to be tied up and given to me. And
you're not a fan of the loose ends and the ambiguous endings?
No, because then, I know people will say, use your imagination, but then my imagination always ends up asking more questions.
That the writer hasn't written, and then it just manifests in your brain, and you're like, God damn it, I need to know what happens.
Yeah, and then basically I just make up a whole entire new book in my head. So that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say on it. It was quite enjoyable. It was quite funny. She was endearing as a character, but the ending didn't have much resolve, and it kind of made it feel a bit disappointing for me. But all in all, it wasn't a bad read.
So in general, you kind of look for stuff, or you enjoy stuff more which kind of ties its loose ends up at the end and kind of doesn't leave anything unresolved.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay if it's one or two things, but if it's a lot of things, then I kind of get annoyed. And there was a lot of things that were left unresolved, like because she had a friendship with two of her. Well, I wouldn't really say it was a friendship. She was trying to have a friendship with her two roommates, and then there was a boy she got involved with and had a bit of a relationship with.
Oh, a bit saucy.
A little bit saucy. But yeah, nothing really. I kind of wanted her to see her stand up to him a little bit because he used her slightly, and that didn't happen.
What
and
a
then,
dick.
yeah, exactly. And then this other guy who I think really liked her, and I think she liked him, but they just couldn't say it to each other. Nothing really happened there, and it was just kind of frustrating because it's okay leaving one or two little things unresolved, but when it's like major plot lines, it's a bit frustrating. But yeah.
How did he use her exactly? I'm interested in this now. Now I'm getting into the gritty melodrama of it.
Well, she basically saw him on a first day there, and she kind of couldn't stop thinking about him. And then she met him at a party and got talking to him, but he'd only ever phone her like ridiculously late at night or in the early hours of the morning and ask her to come over, and she'd stay at his house, but he'd never acknowledge her during the day, or he wouldn't like take her out on proper dates. And if he did, she always felt like he was like belittling her humour, or implying that she wasn't very clever or she was a bit stupid. And there was two other girls who he was constantly like flirting with, and he had a bit of a relationship with one of them and then suggested it more with another girl, and it was just like he was playing these three girls off against each other. And it just kind of annoyed me because I wanted her to stand up for herself, and I wanted her to say something to him, and I wanted her to put her foot down and say enough is enough, but she didn't. And it was kind of a bit, she just let him basically treat her however he wanted to treat her, and it was just, I don't know, it kind of bothered me.
Like a dirty rag.
Yeah, exactly, like a dirty little Harvard rag.
She should have teamed up with the other two girls and drugged him and like cut his penis off.
I think we're going into a bit of a...
Maybe that's a bit too far. Maybe it's a bit drastic.
I think that's verging on Fiddler Finnegan's territory there a little bit.
Well, you know, she's inspired dark thoughts over the last 7 days. I've just been sat here brewing of horrible things true to human beings because of Judy. With 3.5 stars is pretty good. It's a half star better than Judy, which I'm pretty sure she'll be a little bit jealous about. You know, she's got stuff to live up to now.
It's alright, I'm sure she'll console herself with a glass of wine. So.
A glass? Yeah, a glass bottle of wine. Whoa! And that's just for starters. Wait till she hits the brandy. That's when Judy's dragon comes out to play. Which sounds really kind of dirty and weird at the same time.
That's what you can come to expect if you're listening to Lost Property.
Dirty and weird, yeah. Anyway, so what are you contemplating reading next? Do we have a choice again this week?
Actually, I made the choice myself.
Oh, look at you, just taking democracy out of people's mouths already. Jesus, we're a dictatorship and we're only 2 episodes in.
It kind of incorporates with my throwback this week. You know, like this week I said my throwback was I'm going to watch an ice hockey game next weekend because it's from the Mighty Ducks. Well, this week I'm throwing back, and I read this book years ago and I've read it a few times, but there's just something I really love, and I think because it's coming up, like it's Halloween next month, I'm rereading Bram Stoker's Dracula at the moment.
Oh.
It's a bit of a classic. Francis Ford Coppola's film version is by far one of the best.
Oh, Gary Oldman is crazy Dracula.
Yeah.
I want to suck your blood.
Just a quick observation about, and maybe it's just my mind, but do you know, have you seen this craze of girls that wear like their hair piled on top of their head in like a little, like a bun almost, like
a pineapple?
Yeah, it's just kind of like on top of the head, and it's just, that's how they have it, and all girls seem to be styling the hair that way. every time I literally the other week I saw a girl who pretty much looked like Gary Oldman in Dracula.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dracula. And I just thought this is becoming a bit of a joke. Like,
maybe that's what it is. You know, maybe there's like a secret underground cult movement for that film, and young girls are kind of doing the Oldman.
the old.
That's what they're going into hair salons and asking for.
I really hope that's what
give me the Oldman. And they already know what it is, you know, because it's like hip hairdressers with a picture of Gary Oldman in a drawer that they just pull out and look at it and like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It kind of looks like a pineapple wrapped in golden wool.
Well,
I can't say I've noticed anyone with a Gary Oldman Dracula haircut. But you know what? Now that you put that in my mind, I'm sure I'm going to spot a bunch of them in the next week.
I hope you do. And
if I do, I'll try and take photos.
Oh, please do.
I'll consenting photos, probably, because that would be a bit weird. That would be like a clown hanging out on the streets at night if I was just taking pictures of girls' hair. I might get arrested for that kind of thing. And as much as I do enjoy doing this, I don't really want to spend some jail time over it. So you're rereading Dracula to kind of get us back on track. I've never read it, so I haven't actually any idea if it's any good or not. So is it any good?
It is. It's a classic. It's you know, when the older a book is, they use more their language that they used in their time period. Mm-hmm. But whenever I read Dracula, I don't find that it's like that. It just seems like when Bram Stoker was writing it, he was writing it with like longevity in mind, because you don't feel like you're being bogged down in like old style English or anything.
Old timey language. Is it so? It's not like old timey Romanian or whatever it would be.
No, it just, I don't know. There's just something about it. It just like pulls you in, and you get caught up in the story, and you kind of want to be in a really like cozy place, and you want rain to be thrashing against the windows, and you want a really dramatic atmosphere. And yeah, I'm quite excited about rereading it again. I'm only 10% of the way through at the moment, so.
But how do you know you're only 10? Are you like a supercomputer that calculates the percentage of things you do? That's amazing. Is that true? You're 10%. How do you know this? I'm sorry, I'm just totally baffled by this precise statistic.
I'm reading it on my Kindle.
Of course. Sorry, technology.
I could have totally said.
You could have totally said, yeah. I counted the pages and I did like a quick calculation in my head. That would have been impressive, but you've blown it now. Looking on the show notes underneath your book club for this week, you put something about YouTube comments, which has intrigued me and kind of got me a little bit excited. What's this about then?
So we talked last week about the Miley Cyrus video.
Oh yeah, that's right. Peter Pan on crystal meth.
Exactly. And then we kind of just got into this. I think I mentioned last week that sometimes I just love reading YouTube comments because they can be really entertaining. Mm-hmm. So I kind of looked this week to try and find some really good YouTube comments, and I found my top favourite ones for this week. And it's only 2 of them.
Okay. And
one of them is a comment that someone has put in response to the Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball video.
So this is on the actual Wrecking Ball video in the comments?
It is. And you know, underneath when it has the little it has like the little meter that tells you how many people have liked and disliked it. Someone has commented and said, the question is, will the like-dislike bar be a Sith lightsaber or a Jedi lightsaber? Personally, I like Sith better.
What? I'm all for a good Star Wars reference, especially an out-of-context one. But where has that come from?
I don't know. That's why I thought I'd share it with you. It just made me giggle so much because I just thought, this has nothing to do with Miley Cyrus riding a wrecking ball.
I love the fact that they've got that video, which is distracting, to say the least, and they've got Sith lightsabers on their mind, which I guess speaks volumes about that person. But kudos, you know, for fighting through that distraction and all the sledgehammer licking and reaching deep for a Star Wars reference. What is your second one then?
And the second one, I had to just include this one just because of the arrogance of it, basically.
Oh.
I watched a trailer for a film called Kill Your Darlings, which I'm not sure whether you've heard of.
Do you know what? I had heard of a little while ago because somebody I know has gone to see it at a festival not so long ago. And I knew it had what's his face, Potter Boy.
Daniel Radcliffe.
That's the one that does the magic and does the nudity on the stage. Him, and he's playing Allen Ginsberg, isn't he?
He is, and this is a comment in response to the official trailer that's on YouTube. Someone has just written, "Is this movie gay themed?" It's sure.
Sorry, read that again. It was just such a random first line that threw me off.
Is this movie gay themed? Question mark. It sure looks that way to me! Exclamation mark.
Okay, no, I don't think it is, because it's about beat poets of, like, what generation was it? 50s? It's like Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg, and William S. Burroughs.
Ginsberg was obviously gay.
Yeah.
It just baffles me that I watched a trailer for a film about specific people, and they've just is this movie gay themed? It sure looks that way to me. Take yourself and give yourself a gold star, friend, because you just hit the nail on the head.
Are you going to be sort of scavenging some more YouTube comments over the next few episodes as we go along?
I'm hoping so, yeah. I'm not going to say it's going to be a regular thing, but if I see any little gold mines, I'm going to just like take a note of them and talk about them.
Oh, please do, because the internet, as horrible as it can be, sometimes can be very funny with just sheer ignorance and randomness, and YouTube's a wonderful sort of excavation pool for some of that. You wanted to talk about the Emmys, I see, in your show notes.
I do want to talk about the Emmys, partly because I think you are actually. I'm a big fan of Girls, the Lena Dunham series.
I was in the first season, and then I stopped watching in the second season because I just had enough of it. I got about, I want to say 2, maybe 3 episodes in. I got to the episode in which it's basically just Lena Dunham's character and Patrick Wilson as some random dude who comes into the cafe to complain about trash being left outside his house. And then they end up having this weird one-day relationship thing. And that just threw me off, and I was just like, you know what, I'm actually kind of sick of this programme now, so I stopped watching.
I read a lot of that particular episode of season 2 had a lot of mixed reviews. Some people saying that it was unnecessary and that someone who looked like her would never be able to basically pull a guy who looked like Patrick Wilson.
Well, I think that's a weird way to look at it. I mean, that had nothing to do with my decision to stop watching. I just found it became too Hannah-centric, and it's a shame because there's some really good characters in it. I don't know if it kind of moved away from her, but I was kind of like... It took me a while to win me over, because at first I hate-watched Girls, to sort of paraphrase something from within that show. I really couldn't stand it, but at the same time there was something which really kind of intrigued me about it. So I kept watching as almost a guilty pleasure, and then I watched it again through the whole season again, the first season, and I actually found that I really liked it and found stuff that I liked second time that I didn't first. And then the second season, I don't know, it just got off to a really weird and slow start and just threw me off pretty early. But that's my history with Girls, the show, not the gender, because we could be here for a whole 10 episodes with that. But yeah, so you were talking about Girls. Sorry to just sort of derail your thing there.
It's absolutely fine. Like, I do agree with you. Like, the second season, it was very Hannah heavy, and when you've got characters like Shoshana and Jenna and Adam's a fantastic character. Although you did see them, it did seem to really centre and focus on Hannah and her writing the novel and her OCD and the counting and the tapping things out. And yeah, it was. But I'm quite excited because she has been nominated for a couple of Emmys. She's been nominated for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, Outstanding Directing for a Comedy Series. Adam Driver's been nominated for Outstanding Support Actor in a Comedy Series, and Girls has been nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series, but it's up against the likes of The Big Bang Theory, Louis, Modern Family, 30 Rock and Veep. I can't say I've heard much about Louis and Veep. I've watched a few episodes of 30 Rock and it wasn't really my kind of humour. Big Bang Theory, it's kind of one of those shows I'll watch every now and again, and it'll make me giggle in places, but overall I just find the comedy quite forced. But I adore Modern Family, so I'm really interested to see who wins in that category. But I think the one thing I'm really surprised about, and I can't call this, I can't actually say who I'm putting my money on two, but for outstanding drama series, it's a really tough category because you've got Breaking Bad, Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, Homeland, House of Cards, and Mad Men all up for the outstanding drama series award.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be between Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, even though I've never watched
either of them.
The amount of reviews and rave reviews and the amount of the fan base those programs have behind them, I think it's going to be a really tough one to call.
I think I would love to see Breaking Bad get it. I'm sure it's got it before because I know it's swept a bunch of Emmys over its series run over the last few years. But I'd love to see it get it for this year because I think it's really amped itself up massively. But Game of Thrones I'd like to see as well, even though it kind of got off to a bit of a slow start. It got kind of crazy towards the end. But on a consistency level, I think I would want to see, and I think it will go to Breaking Bad.
I think because of the amount of praise it's getting at the moment, as it's had through the whole of its run, basically, I think I'd be more likely to sway towards Breaking Bad than Game of Thrones. But I think when you're in the same category as things like Homeland as well,
mm-hmm.
I just think that's a really tough one to call. I mean, obviously, Bryan Cranston's up for outstanding lead actor in a drama series, and a lot of people are saying he's deserving of that. But you've also got Damian Lewis in there as well for Homeland, Kevin Spacey and Jon Hamm, both actors that continuously get really good reviews about the performances that they give. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a really tough year because there's a few people as well. There's a lot of people who deserve to win. I'll just be interested.
I'm sorry if the ice cream van outside is disrupting things. I'm sure this happened last week, but for some reason the ice cream man isn't prepared to give up in September. He's still going hard. I think Homeland could be a dark horse. I think it was very good from what I remember. I know some people had problems with the second season, but I enjoyed the second season quite a lot, actually, and I think it could be a dark horse. I can't really say anything about House of Cards because I've not seen it, and I stopped watching Mad Men because I just got really sick of that show, and I actually got really sick of Jon Hamm's character.
Okay.
Who I don't like at all. Have you seen Mad Men before?
Do you know, I really haven't. It is on my list of things to watch.
I think because there's a certain part of you which I know likes sort of nostalgic stuff, like vintage stuff. I think you would really kind of like the setting of it, with it being in like the 50s, 60s. The kind of because it is very authentic. It really kind of does feel like you're in that time period, with the dress, the fashion, the sort of language, the behaviour. And all the sort of scenery and settings and stuff, but it's good. It's a good show. I couldn't get into it as much as other people did, and I kind of got a bit irritated by it. But I think the vintage loving part of you will like it for that aspect alone, if not anything else. But
okay.
There's a lot of smoking in it as well, which is really kind of indicative of that time. It's like every scene there's someone go away, Mr. Ice Cream Man. We're talking about smoking. Unless you're selling cigarettes to children, go away. Actually, no, go away if you are selling cigarettes. Jesus Christ, that's a loud ice cream van.
I think he must know that we're doing this.
I think so. I think he's just being an ass on purpose now. What do you think he'll do in terms of Emmys, and what do you think he'll win?
I think outstanding comedy series will probably go to Modern Family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've watched any Modern Family.
Modern Family it's like you were saying about that other show. It's something that I will periodically watch. Like it's kind of like what it is Big Bang Theory to you. If it's on, I'll kind of watch it and I'll catch it in bits and pieces. I can't say I've ever watched a full season, but if it's on, I will occasionally flick it on, and it is very funny and it's very smart in its humour.
And I really love the characters in that, and it always seems to come out on top at award ceremonies. So I think for comedy series, I think Modern Family will be the one to look out for. Outstanding lead actress, I think Lena Dunham. I think she'll come out on top. For the lead actor, I think Jason Bateman in Arrested Development might get something, because obviously that came back on Netflix. For an extra. I don't know if you ever watched any Arrested Development.
I love the show, and I watched the first episode of the new season, and again, it's just one of those things where I've been meaning to watch it. I've just kind of got caught up with other stuff. I will get around to watching the rest of it. But
Jason Bateman's just really like, he underplays it a lot of the time, and I just think he comes across as this really just like, he's so natural. Humour with him, and I think he'll probably win the lead actor category. I think drama series, I think I'm going to have to go with Breaking Bad, even though I've never watched it. And it really pains me to say that, because Downton Abbey's in there, and I'm a big fan of Downton Abbey. But I do think Breaking Bad will come out on top there. And as for the rest, I'm not too fussed. Whoever wins, wins. But I'd like to see Lena get something, and I'd like to see Modern Family get something. So
you'd be happy if that happens?
Yes, definitely.
When is the Emmys? Is it this week coming?
It's tonight, I believe.
Oh. Okay. Well, then we could have a little sort of look back for next week and see if you were right and see what happened. There we go, Emmys and stuff. Speaking of stuff that you've been watching on TV, what have you been watching this week? I see you put that in your notes. That was the most unsmooth, rough transition I could do, but there you go.
So yeah, mostly this week I'm still watching The American Office. We started on season 5 the other day, and we're probably about halfway through. And I suppose I can talk about it because it's so old. So I'm guessing most people would.
I was going to say, yeah, it's been on for a while, and if you haven't caught up, I suppose you could always just fast forward a little bit.
I have to say, my favourite character has to be Dwight. He tickles my funny bone. He's just so weird and just. And I was really disappointed when the episode where Phyllis announces to the office that Dwight and Angela have been having an affair behind and they have the duel. It's one of the funniest things we've ever seen, but I kind of got a little bit sad about it as well, because there was a part of me that just really wanted Angela and Dwight to get together and stay together, because as weird as they are as individuals, they make the perfect couple.
They really quite do, in a really odd, weird way. They're two very odd, very different kind of characters in a way. But they complement each other in a lovely, strange, sweet manner. I love Dwight. I actually think, because Dwight is obviously, if you look at it in comparison to the UK, obviously he is the Gareth character. And this is what I mean. At first, because we talked about this briefly, when the first season of the US Office started, it seemed to be just like trying to implement what characters it could from the UK version into an American setting. But afterwards, it's really kind of taken on a life of its own. And even though initially he was the quote-unquote Gareth of the US version, he's kind of become his own thing, and it becomes really kind of removed from Gareth. But I love Dwight. I think he's fantastic with his beet farm.
I really am enjoying it, and I didn't realise, but apparently there's like 9 series. Is that true?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because obviously I've been watching it on Love Film, and it only has up to series 5 on there, so I just thought that was it. So I'm really intrigued to see where else they could go with it. But,
well, whereabouts, like, plot-wise, what was like one of the last significant things that happened that you saw?
Jim moved in with Pam to his parents' house that he bought. Phyllis announced that Angela and Dwight were having the affair. Michael went to the place where they sent Holly, the HR lady who he felt.
Yeah.
And she'd written him a letter, and he put it on a USB stick, but Pam said he couldn't read it, so she read it and then told him that she still had feelings for Michael. And that, I'd say, was probably the last big plot thing, because I really liked Michael and Holly together. They were really cringy, and
in a weird way, like Dwight and Angela, they're kind of like odd characters on their own, but together they're odd but sweet and just work. when they shouldn't really, but they do. But yeah, no, you've got plenty more to go. You've got plenty of more twists and stuff to happen. I will leave it at that. But yeah, there's plenty of good stuff left.
Well, I'm really excited because that's mostly what I've been watching this week. What about you? Have you been watching anything interesting or?
No, literally my whole week has just been immersed with me in front of my TV playing Grand Theft Auto 5 for literally all week. I just finished it yesterday after about 35 hours of gameplay. So yeah, I've literally, I haven't shaved all week. I haven't really done anything. I haven't really been outside except to go watch Diana, and that was kind of sad and pointless and sort of depressing. Especially with the fact that there is a Pol Pot's movie being made, and there was a trailer for it in the start of that. Pol Pot's being the opera dude who was on Britain's Got Talent, and they've got James Corden to play him.
Oh God!
Yeah.
How much I love James Corden. I think one of my favourite things I've ever heard you say about James Corden. And I favourited this tweet because it just made me laugh so much. It was something about, get James Corden off my telly, that fuck pig, and drown him in his own urine.
Yeah, really. To say I dislike James Corden would kind of be an understatement. I just don't buy him as an actor or a comedian or even a human being, really. But yeah, no, this week I've just literally been immersed in mass mayhem and shooting and sticking bombs onto golf carts and dressing up in women's dresses and hitting people with hammers and all kinds of crazy stuff in that game. I absolutely adored it. I waited 2 hours in line on Monday night, which was rather foolish considering if I'd gone like an hour early I would have got it and been gone home. But yeah, no, that's pretty much all I've been doing this week. I mean, I have done some other stuff. It's not like I've just been sealed in like a vacuum-tight room with just that on permanently, with it like attached to my hands. But pretty much in terms of watching stuff, I just haven't. I've took the week off essentially, because usually my week consists of a lot of movie reviews and a lot of music reviews and article writing and stuff, and obviously going to the job that pays me money as well sometimes. But no, I just literally took the whole week off from everything, including shaving and looking at myself and doing human things.
It sounds interesting. I like how you made a comment last week about how I have weird tastes in television.
Yes.
I watched The Walking Dead and Downton Abbey.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you spent the week playing GTA 5 and only went out of the house to watch it.
Okay, touche. I will take that on the chin because, yeah, I don't have a leg to stand on with that one. Yeah, that is, when I come to think of it and I look at it from outside of my own perspective, that really is quite weird, isn't it? You know, like several hours of cerebral violence and mayhem and criminal activity, and then it's like, okay, it's time to leave the house for the first time this week. Let's watch a Diana biopic.
Well, I have to say, I don't think you're alone in the GTA 5 thing. Everyone that I've come across has bought the game, played the game, made love to the game.
Pretty much, yeah.
Enjoyed the game. I know that as of the 19th of September, it became the fastest grossing entertainment title in the world.
Mm-hmm. I think it made like 800 million on its first day, and I think it's just crossed the 1 billion threshold.
I believe so, and I actually have a top tweet from a celebrity.
Oh.
And it's GTA 5 related, and it comes from Sir Stephen Fry.
Oh.
And he said, and I've not played this, but I told someone about this tweet, and they was like, yeah, he is, and that's very funny. And he said, I have to say that Trevor in GTA 5 is not a very nice man at all. Dear me.
Oh, Stephen. Oh, Stephen, you're very much underselling Trevor.
So my question is, who is Trevor?
You don't know who Trevor is?
I've not played it yet. I've not got around to playing it just yet.
Oh, okay. Trevor, how would you describe him? Is a redneck psychopath, essentially. He is an absolute nutcase. In introduction to Trevor, he's having sex with this biker dude's girlfriend in his trailer kitchen, and then the biker dude shows up, and he kills him with a glass bottle and beats him to death. And that's your introduction to Trevor. And he's this crazy-looking dude who's going bald. He's kind of got weird tattoos everywhere, and he's like a meth cook. And he's just a psychopath. He's just an absolute nutcase. When you switch between characters, they'll switch over to an environment. Like they'll be either at their sort of safe house or they'll be doing something. I switched to Trevor once, and he woke up on a small island with 4 people in their underwear who were dead and being burnt to death. And that's kind of Trevor in a nutshell. He is just a lunatic, and he's just psychotic. But he's a fantastic character to play as because he's just so unhinged and fun in a weird, horrible manner. But yeah, Stephen kind of undersold it when he said he's not a very nice man because he's horrible. You don't ever see him do it, but it's alluded to the fact that he eats people as well.
Oh.
And he also has sex with a teddy bear.
Oh, I bet that made you a bit upset.
It kind of did. There's a little bear called Miss Strawberry Jam, I think it's called, and he gouges a hole in her eye, and sort of sodomizes the bear's eye sockets.
He skull fucks a teddy bear.
Yeah, pretty much, essentially. Yeah, he's not a very nice man whatsoever.
He's given it such a hussy name as well.
It's not his teddy bear. It's some woman called Deborah's teddy bear.
Oh. So Deborah basically doesn't know when she settles down every night to go to bed that she's basically fallen asleep next to a head full of spunk.
Yeah, and you actually get to see the spunk all over the teddy's face as well, which is really quite disgusting. They included like all the spuff on the teddy's face. It's quite grim, and that's.
I think they should come out with a warning on GTA 5 that this game is not suitable for bears.
Exactly. You know, they should have that as a warning included on the front of the box. But yeah, so you've not played any of it yet?
Not yet, no, and I doubt I'll get to play it just yet because it's my other half's copy and he just seems to be playing it all the time. So,
has he been enjoying it so far?
Yeah. It's pretty much all he goes on about, and when he's not playing it, he's watching online gaming footage of it, and he's been reading articles about how people, because I believe you can take selfies in the game.
Oh yeah, you can. I put a dress on Trevor and killed someone with a hammer, and then took a photo.
Oh, nice.
took a selfie.
But yeah, no, everyone I know who's played it has had nothing but good things to say about it. So I'm quite interested and quite excited to have a quick go myself at some point. So,
in all seriousness, to make it seem like I'm not a total sociopath, like I said, I have actually played and finished the game. I haven't just gone around killing people with hammers in cross-dress. Although that is quite fun. The story is fantastic, and just the sheer depth of the game is amazing. The sheer size of it and detail is just incredible. In terms of advancement for video games, it's amazing. Just the way it looks. I know it sounds really weird to say, but like the water movement. Water has always been a real difficult thing for video game producers to capture correctly. Yeah. It's always looked really kind of either blocky or sort of square or choppy or just weird. But the general motion of water, both underneath and the wave crests of water, is amazing. And just the sheer amount of attention to detail is just fantastic. Absolutely, you can just get yourself lost in it like I have this week, and keep going back for more. Yeah.
Good. So is there anything you've been watching? Because I noticed on the notes Bear's Gogglebox.
Yeah, because I was going to talk about weird and abstract films, and I kind of did, and it got cut out of last week's episode. And the reason being is when I listened back to it, I was like, I really wasn't prepared for this. I kind of did this on the whim, and I'd watched The Devils, which I talked about quite a while back, and so my memory of it was a bit faded and fuzzy. And I thought, well, you know, I deal with enough film stuff in the week, why not go with something that I don't really deal with an awful lot and give me a bit of opportunity to delve into something. And so I thought, well, why not look at weird TV, because I like strange and odd TV things. And it doesn't always have to be strange and odd, but just bits of TV that have kind of caught my attention or have been on my list, because I have a huge list of stuff on the TV programs of past and present that I have been meaning to watch for ages, but I just never have got around to doing it. So I thought, here is a perfect opportunity to do it. And the show that I'm putting into Bear's Gogglebox this week is one that we've already mentioned briefly, both last week and this week. And it's kind of in the spirit of what we were saying last week about how both of us, we kind of want to give something an opportunity before we can really criticise it when we're talking about Twilight. And I've been very kind of blasé about Downton Abbey in the past. So today I went to watch my first episode of Downton Abbey, starting at the start, as you do, with the first episode of the first season. And that's in my Gogglebox this week.
And I'm really intrigued to hear what you have to say about it, obviously. So I'm just waiting.
Well, I got 40 minutes in, and then I had to stop.
Oh no!
Because I found it quite shit. I don't know. It's just very. I'm not a big fan of class systems, and I'm not a big fan of the rich. And straight away, I was already irked by it because it's the first episode. And spoilers, if you've never seen Downton Abbey but want to and don't want to have it ruined for you, you should probably fast forward a little bit. But the first episode essentially starts with the Titanic sinking. You don't see it; it happens off screen because I don't think ITV's got that kind of budget. And it would also be a little bit out of place with the rest of the sort of low lighting sort of drama of the show, I guess. But Titanic sinks, and straight away you get this sort of foppish vibe of, oh no, rich people have sunk to death. And immediately I was like, oh, right. And then it's all up in the air about who is the heir to the estate and who gets the money and who gets the title. And at this point I was a little bit confused, but I was also like, who really gives a fuck, to be honest? Let's just kind of get on with something. And then it's just this real snobby attitude to a lot of the characters in it, I found. There's a guy who comes in as a valet. I can't remember his name because I just went over my head, I guess. But he has a walking stick. And everybody is a bitch to him because he's disabled. They're like, he can't do the job. He's lame. He can't do it. Let's all pick on the disabled man. And then I was like, oh, are you really going to do that? And then, I don't know. I tried and no. It's hard to articulate what it is. It's just, there's a lot of snobbery and foppery and I don't know. It's just not my thing.
Do you know what? At least you watched it. At least you didn't do what a lot of people do and you make a comment on something when you've not even given it a try or you've not even looked into it. You've watched it, you didn't like it, and that's all anyone asks.
Exactly, and I'm not berating anybody that likes it. If you like it, that's awesome. You found something that you like, and I'm genuinely pleased for you. Because that's the thing, even if I really dislike something, even if I hate it, if someone likes it, that's awesome. Because it's found somebody gets enjoyment from it, and they should be left alone to enjoy it, and that's totally fine. And so if you're excited for the new series, that is awesome. I'm excited for the fact that you're excited. It just doesn't work for me, unfortunately.
That's fine.
Yeah. Are you excited for the new series? Because I do believe it starts tonight by the time we're recording on the Sunday.
It does. It starts tonight. It's on at 9:00, and I think it's an hour and a half tonight.
Oh.
An hour. But yeah, no, I'm really excited because there was things. I obviously watched the Christmas special that was on, and one of the main characters died in that, and I'm really interested to see what they. I believe they're bringing it in 6 months after that person's passed away, so. It'll be really interesting to see what they do. I know they're changing dynamics a little bit and they're bringing some new characters in. So yeah, I'm quite excited by it, and no doubt I'll have something to say about it next week, but I shan't bore you with it this week.
There was something really weird that kind of caught my attention with the episode that I watched 2/3 of. When there's people on the Titanic that they know that have potentially died. I mean, obviously you don't have like the up-to-date news that you do now in 1912. You don't kind of have the technology to get the confirmation, but they assume that they're dead and they have a memorial for it. And someone says something really quite weird about like, oh, I hate wearing black. And someone's like, oh, well, it's only for this month. Next month will be in half mourning. And I was like, good God, that's a long period of mourning. You have mourning and then half mourning. And then what's the next month? Like quarter mourning, where it's kind of like ashy white, where you're gradually going back to white frilly frocks.
It was, though. They had really long periods of mourning in those days, which I don't know. I mean, I suppose in a way it was respectful. But yeah, I think that just goes to show they have put a lot of research into that particular time period, and yeah, I suppose it is weird to us because we'd probably just wear black for a funeral and then we'd go back to wearing normal clothes now. But I think it was just all about the era and their beliefs back then. I don't know, but
how did this person die? I'm wondering, because it sounds, because the whole thing reminded me a little bit of the film Gosford Park, which was like of that era, and it had a murder mystery in it, and it seems a bit murder mystery-ish with the setting. Is it foul play that this person has died?
are you talking about in the first episode?
No, I'm talking about the current one. You're saying that it takes place 6 months after someone's died.
Oh, it was just an accident. They crashed a car and just died in a car crash.
You say just an accident, but someone, because they are quite a bitchy lot, it seems, in that servitude. Someone could have cut the brakes.
No, it was a genuine accident. I think there was a horse on the road or something like that, and he swerved his car to try and get around it and crashed into a tree and died.
Oh, silly horse. What's
Yes.
it doing out in the middle of the night? What happens to the disabled man, the man with the stick? Does he go away or does he become accepted?
No, he stays in it. But no, there's a whole storyline involving him that starts at the end of the first series and goes into the second series, and it involves his wife, because he's married, and she kind of comes back into it, and she's a bit of a bitch, and
she'll fit right in then.
She wants to blackmail him and things like that, and
sounds like Dallas now.
He ends up going to prison, and
oh shit, yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see the lame valet in prison doing some serious time in the hole.
There's a whole storyline involving him in prison and people trying to prove that he's innocent. There's a whole love story involving him, and he's one of the best loved characters if you're a Downton Abbey fan. Him and there's a character called Anna who plays the lady's maid.
Yes, I saw her.
And yeah, there's a whole storyline involving them where they slowly fall in love over time, and she can't get married to him because he's already married, but he can't divorce his wife because she won't sign the divorce papers.
You should just kill her then.
It's funny you should say that because she kills herself.
Oh my God.
But plants evidence so that it looks like he's done it.
Oh yeah, is that why he goes to prison?
That's why he goes to prison. So then it's down to Anna to try and prove his innocence. And it's just generally quite it's an interesting storyline. But like I said, I'm not going to bore you with it. You didn't like it, so.
I don't know. See, it seems quite interesting now. Now I've got past all the 4 for 4, we're all bitchy, look at the disabled man stuff.
You do have to get... The first episode just kind of sets things up for you and introduces you to the characters, but after that, you learn the characters more, and there's a whole storyline in the first series where one of the daughters of Lord Grantham, Mary, gets involved in something that could potentially bring a big scandal on the household, and
crack dealing.
That's a really interesting storyline.
Crack dealing in the gardens to all the gardeners.
With the zombies.
Hey, Jose, give this to Peter over there. Tell him I want my money, bitch.
You've been playing GTA 5.
I know, it's just embedded in my brain too much. So when you said he goes to prison, I'm thinking, does he have a scrap in the yard? Does it fight off people who want to make him his bitch? I say, good man, I shall not be your bitch. Get away from me or I'll hit you with my stick.
So, Downton Abbey's your Goggle box for this week. Have you got something in mind that you're going to watch for next week's podcast, or have you not made your mind
No,
up?
I do. I already do. It was a kind of a choice between the two for this week, but the one that missed out this week is going to be the one for next week.
Can you tell us what it is, or are you going to leave it as
No, I can tell you what it is. It's going to be a program that is on Channel 4. I think it started life as a one-off documentary and has now been turned into a full series. It's called The Fried Chicken Shop because it looks rough and full of drunks.
Oh, okay.
And I've had many a strange evening end in a takeaway or a fried chicken shop, including seeing a man fight another man over a sausage, like dogs.
Okay, I've just Googled it, and the blurb just says a unique portrait of contemporary life illustrated by fried chicken, the staff who serve it, and the customers who buy it.
Yeah, it looks it looks like that sort of trashy TV, which you wouldn't purposely go out of your way to watch unless you're me doing a feature for a podcast or you really like that kind of trashy telly. But if it's on, you would probably watch it and laugh and then go, "Oh yeah, what was that about? What happened?" Forget about it and then move on. But yeah, it looks drunk and trashy and awesome. I am a big fan of trashy television, so you can expect to see some really sort of rough gems
Well, I
in
can't wait
Bear's Gogglebox.
to say about it.
Yeah, and I can tell you all about the fight between two men and a sausage, which sounds incredibly pornographic when I phrase it like that. Which it's not. But anyway, so yeah, that is that. Looking at the notes, I got some little stuff, some bits and pieces that I found that were quite interesting this week. Speaking of drunks, there's this thing that's being proposed, or kind of being bandied about government as a potential idea for something to take place in Britain, called drunk tanks. I believe they're in active use in certain parts of the world. I want to say in certain parts of Europe, but I'm not 100% sure. But basically, it is a series of privately run holding cells to contain drunk and disorderly people for the night instead of having the police deal with it. It's basically to free up police time and resources and contain sort of Britain's binge drinking issues. The thing is, though, if you get put into the drunk tank, which I think is an amazing name for it, and I do hope they just stick with that.
It sounds too much fun to be something that's serious. Like drunk tank sounds like a nightclub.
It does, or some kind of late night game show where the contestants should be drunk.
And dunked in a tank.
Exactly. Oh yeah, see? What a wonderful idea. If it doesn't take off as an actual legal prevention, it could be a game show on Channel 5 on Saturday night at 11 o'clock. But apparently, if you get put in the drunk tank, to get out, it's going to cost you £400.
Okay, so how do they think that's going to work? Do they just think that drunk people just carry around like...
Well, that's what I was thinking. They carry around big wads of cash. Oh yeah, mate, no problem, £400, there you go. Or I'll just get my checkbook out. I'm going to sound
quite snobby here.
I'll go for it.
And I'm going to probably sound quite ignorant, but from the impression I've seen from just being out in Manchester city centre myself in general, and from watching things like Police Camera Action and all those kind of programmes on TV, it seems to me that the majority of people who usually end up drunk and disorderly are just your basic working class people.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who have a 9-to-5 job, Monday to Friday, that usually pays just slightly better than maybe minimum wage. And if it's not those kind of people, it's either alcoholics who steal money to get drunk.
Yeah.
Students. So although in theory it might be a good idea, I don't think they've actually taken the kind of people who'll be put into these kind of holding cells into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Because I certainly don't know people who walk around and have just a spare £400 in the back pocket.
I think the idea is that it's set up to be a deterrent, where if people know that it's going to cost £400, then they won't get that drunk. But to be honest, this country kind of ashamedly prides itself on how drunk it can get on a weekend. So I don't know if that's actually going to deter people. And my big question is, if you can't pay the £400, what happens? Do you just have to stay in the drunk tank until you can?
That's a good question. Or is it a case of, like with prison, where somebody can come and pay...
Like bail you out the drunk tank?
Bail, but again,
Mum, I got drunk. I'm in the drunk tank.
I think as well, there's so many things like this that are put in place. Like, of course, they did the 24-hour drinking law.
Mm-hmm.
So because they thought that if they opened pubs and places like that for 24 hours and people had more time to go and have a drink, they'd be less likely to try and get as drunk as possible at the weekend or in the week. And that's not helped any matter. That's not helped anything at all. So although they're bringing it in as a kind of measure to prevent people from maybe getting as drunk, I don't understand how this will work.
I'm guessing that it would probably be, because the only way I can see it working is that it wouldn't be a straight up payment. It would be like an indebted payment where you pay off so much per week, and then again, that kind of makes me think it's a little bit seedy and a little bit privatised, because you'd be sticking interest on that as well. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good idea to try and think of ideas to kind of shift police focus away from concentrating on that so much, but at the same time, I don't know if that's the answer. But I just thought I'd float that out because I thought that was quite an interesting one. I mean, it's an interesting point you bring up with the 24-hour license, because that never really worked. It never really curbed people, and in some places it just made things worse.
Definitely, and it's like we were saying before. It shames me to say it, but the UK does seem to pride itself on how much they can and how wasted they can get on a weekend, and I just don't think how precautionary measures like this are going to change that if the measures that are already in place have done nothing to prevent them from happening, and in some cases have made the situation worse.
Yeah, it's an ongoing problem, and I kind of feel like there's an idea in there somewhere, but perhaps it's a bit extreme with £400, because like you say, who's going round with that amount of money on them? Yeah, I don't know, but I will put the link to the full article in the show notes at lostpropertypod.tumblr.com, so you can go check that out and see what's what. There's some interesting tweets that have been sent in regarding it as well, and further details, so if you want to read more about it, you can do so over there.
And also you can check us out on at Lost Property Pod on Twitter as well.
Yeah, damn right you can. And you can send in your topics of discussion and conversation if you've seen something you've seen in the news. That doesn't make any sense. If you've seen something in the news, then you've seen something in the news, and you can tell us about it over there. The other bit that I found this week, which was kind of interesting, smartphones and tablets, which, I'd say a huge percentage of people currently use either one or the other, or both, in this modern day and age. Apparently, according to a survey and research by which smartphones and tablets have more germs than a toilet seat.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if this is true. This is basically just going on the article that I found, again, which I will put a link to in the show notes. But yeah, according to which, there is a series of tests they conducted which on 60 smartphones and tablets, which came up with a worrying high level of germs. And when put in comparison to the amount of bacteria found on the average toilet seat, is considerably higher. So, do you think that's true?
I don't know, because I like to think I keep my iPhone quite clean. I give it a wipe down every now and again, and if it looks a bit dusty, I'll just give it a nice clean, and it looks generally quite clean. But I'd like to know whose smartphones and tablets actually swabbed.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, it's going to be an interesting selection of dirty smartphones and tablets. Like big poo stains all over the screen. Oh, sorry, that's not what it's for.
And also, whose toilets have they cleaned? Like, checked? You might have someone who has
really pristine, clean toilets.
Yeah, and stuff like has OCD, so maybe their toilet is really clean in comparison to maybe the average Joe's phone who just uses his phone twice a day on the street. Of course, it's going to have more germs. I think with things like this, it's kind of like the whole not eating certain types of foods because it'll give you cancer, or You know,
Mhm.
it changes constantly. One week you're told that fat is beautiful, the next week you're told thin is beautiful. I just think things like this are just put out there to just scaremonger people, and it's like when mobile phones really hit a massive boom and there was just like everyone had one. There was all that speculation that if you used it too much, it could cause brain tumors or. I just think people just scaremonger people. I really do. I think it's just news, just trying to sell news for the sake of it.
Well, here's a little bit of statistical information from the article. Like I said, you can read the full thing if you go to the show notes. But the average toilet seat has a count of 20 units per swab of Staphylococcus. I don't even know.
Staphylococcus.
Yeah, that one. Basically, 20 units of a bacteria which can create toxins that cause vomiting and diarrhea. So just 20 on your average toilet seat. One person's tablet tested had a count of 600 units per swab. So that's like, I don't even know the maths on that, but that's like dozens of toilets worth of bacteria on one tablet. Just gross.
Oh, again, though, I'd like to see the person whose tablet this actually is, because I'm just picturing
Just poo stains all over an iPad.
the kind of person who just throws poo at a wall and wipes the bum on the floor.
On all of their high-tech devices. I just smear my poo on the screen.
The kind of people who don't wash their hands when they go to the toilet.
Poo app! You can clean your poo with this app. So there you go. That was a nice little thing there for you. So, be careful and make sure you clean your devices, especially if you're going to use someone else's devices. You might want to take some sort of sanitary gloves with you or some kind of cleaning spray. The last bit that I've got in the Lost Property bin for you this week, and I know this would interest you because I know that you're a huge One Direction fan.
I love them to pieces.
Yeah, I know you're all about the Harry Styles. You're a big One Directioner. And again, I'll put the link in the show notes for the full thing, but this comes from the weird news section of Metro, and it revolves around a mother in Australia who got revenge on her daughter by selling her One Direction tickets on eBay.
Oh, that lady needs to be revered and named a god.
Well, I put down in the show, as a side note, she's like a hero of the week / forever. The reason being, it's not because she's like a horrible, vindictive mother who hates her child and wants to wish nothing but unhappiness on her child. Apparently, her daughter had been lying to her about sleepovers. She said she'd been staying over at her friends with other friends for a sleepover, but really she had been having rendezvous with an older man she'd met on the internet and had been lying about it. So she'd also been like giving her a lot of lip. It says a mother got revenge here on her self-righteous and lippy daughter by on eBay One Direction ticket bought her. So she'd been under the impression, this mother, that her daughter had been having these sleepovers with her 4 friends or 3 friends or whatever, but really she'd been kind of going off to have rendezvous with an older man on the internet. Which you know his intentions aren't all about One Direction. They're not spinning pop tunes and working out dance routines there. But as a punishment, she had bought her tickets for something as like a present, and as a punishment put them on eBay. And in the description, I'll read you the description that goes with the eBay listing. I hope the scowl on your bitchy little friends' faces when you tell them that your dad and I revoked the gift we were giving you all reminds you that your parents are the ones that deserve love and respect more than anyone. You all lied to us about sleepovers so you could hang like little trollops at an older guy's house. That's some serious proactive parenting right there.
Oh, and do we know if the girl said anything in response to this? Is there any feedback or backlash to a mum about this?
No, not at the moment, as far as I can tell, but I will keep an eye on it. I'll also put a link to the post on eBay, which they've actually got a link to as well. I don't know. Let's see if they've sold. Actually, I've not checked this. There were currently a bid of 420 Australian dollars. There is 18 days, 8 hours, and 42 minutes left on the listing, and they are currently at 599 Australian dollars with free postage, which is
That's always good.
it is exactly, and the seller is appropriately called Demon Lady. And she's got 100% positive feedback. So if you live in Australia and you're a One Directioner and you want to scoop up some tickets, I'll put the link in there for you to go and get them. Because not only are you getting the tickets, but you're getting an amazing story to go with it as well.
I think you are right. I think that lady has to be the hero of the week.
I think so, because that is proactive parenting, isn't it? I mean, it's not even a case of like, oh, we're upset with you, oh, we're disappointed with you, but we're actually going to do something which is going to make you think twice about ever doing that again.
Well, I really hope it does. I really hope it has made her think twice. But I like the idea that we should have a hero of the week, and I think that it should be that woman.
Oh, there we go, exactly. I think so as well. So she is our very first inaugural hero of the week. Angry Australian lady.
I think it's going to take quite a lot.
Demon lady.
I think our next hero will have to have like cherry flavoured nipples or something.
Wow. Well, that's an instant buy-in, if there ever was one. But yeah, Angry Australian Demon Lady has set the bar pretty high in terms of hero of the week conditions. But there you go. That's all I've got in the Lost Property bin for this week. Anything else that you've seen or you want to talk about before we finish?
I can't really think of anything. One thing I did want to talk about, I know you went to see it a few weeks ago, and I went to see it a couple of weeks ago, and it's probably old news now, but can I just say how much I loved the film About Time?
Oh, yes you can.
I really, really enjoyed it. I'm really sad to hear that Richard Curtis is going to be retiring. It's going to be his last film, because I thought it had everything that you want in a film. It had some shocking moments. It was funny. It was endearing. It was a bit tragic in places. I just thought it was brilliant, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And I know you quite enjoyed it as well. I listened to your review you did.
Yeah, I really did, and I'm not a Richard Curtis fan whatsoever. I really have had a sort of turbulent relationship with his filmmaking. I find him a little bit too upper middle class and a little bit too foppish and a little and Hugh Grant, and I just don't get Hugh Grant and all that. And I've never been a fan of his. But I can't remember what it was that I saw, but I saw a trailer for About Time, and I was kind of taken a little bit aback by it, because I was like, do you know what, that actually looks really quite genuine and charming and sweet. And I was like, do you know what, I'm going to put that on my to-watch list. I'm not going to get too excited about it, because it's a Richard Curtis film, and, you know, we've had mixed reactions to his stuff before, but it's on the watch list, and when it comes out, we'll go see it, and we'll see what it's like, and if it matches up with the trailer. And it exceeds everything about the trailer, because it really is. You can nitpick at the film, logically, because there's bits and pieces which kind of don't particularly make sense, and in the sense of time travel, it kind of pokes away at its own rules, but the thing is, you don't particularly care. You get to a point in the film where you cross that threshold and you are more invested in a caring and emotional way than you are a logical way. And, you know, you could be cynical and picky about it, but the thing is, what's the point? Because you've got a really nice story, some really wonderful characters, some fantastic performances, especially from Dominic, what's his surname?
Donald Gleeson.
That's the one. Who I think is really good, and I hope this is kind of a little breakout for him, because I think he's got a lot of potential. And I just think it was really funny and really charming and really sweet, and it made me cry as well, which films seldom ever really do, but I did cry.
No, I went to see it with my other half, his mum and his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I wouldn't have been with all those people, I would have cried. But because I was with so many people, I didn't want to embarrass myself by crying. but I had the world's, when you get a golf ball in your throat.
Where you just kind of feel it building up in your neck, and you're just like,
wasn't a golf ball. This was like a football.
oh.
And it took me so much not to cry. The ending is so sweet, and just because when you see the trailer, you do just think it's like this quirky film about time travel, and you think it's about a boy meeting a girl and then falling in love, and it's not. It's about family love. It's about the love of a brother for a sister, and this bond between a father and a son, and it's just it like you said, it's so charming, and you do notice certain things that shouldn't happen because they don't make sense logically in regards to their own storyline and their own plot, but you get that wrapped up in the love for the film, and it is very charming. And like you said, Donald Gleeson was fantastic. He himself was very endearing, and you found yourself falling in love with his character, and he just played it. He was so underestimated and very effortlessly played. And Bill Nighy as well.
Oh, he's just fantastic. And even though he's just basically doing Bill Nighy as himself, he's just an absolute charm. Literally, I could watch just him and Donald Gleeson playing table tennis for the full hour and a half and just be totally entertained and charmed and won over by them playing table tennis, because they have such a wonderful partnership and pairing. And it's in a scene with them that I actually cried.
Yeah, it's just, the chemistry between those two is fantastic. They just, you could almost think that they were father and son.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was very charming, and I don't think I've ever been to see a film before, and en masse everyone in the cinema was actually laughing out loud at certain points. And I've never experienced that before, and I was just overwhelmed by how many people were actually laughing at all the right moments, and it was perfect. I really can't wait for it to come out on DVD. It's going to be on my list of things to buy.
I think it will be a really lovely film for Christmas time. I know it won't come out before Christmas time this time. I don't think it will. It might just make the cut, I don't know, but I could see it being a really lovely film for Christmas. Even though it's not a Christmassy film, and obviously the go-to Christmas film from him would be Love Actually, I think I would go with that, just because it's got such a lovely feel to it. No, but I'm really glad you liked it. It was a real surprise to me, because as I said, I kind of was interested from the trailer. It wasn't going in with many expectations, but found it's on my favourites list. I don't know how far it'll place, because there's a lot of stiff competition this year, but it's definitely earned a place there. So there we go. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up, or you want to end there?
No, I'd just like to get people to check out last week's podcast if they haven't already. Head on over to @LostPropertyPod and tweet us any suggestions if there's something you'd like us to talk about, or there's an article you want to link us to. Just get in touch with us there. And do you want to give them the Tumblr address?
Yeah, certainly. You can go to lostpropertypod.tumblr.com, or you can follow us and keep us in your feed and in your hearts simultaneously. You can also find all the links to stuff that we've talked about in this episode, and of course you can get in touch and deliver any goods that you want to drop off here at Lost Property that you found perhaps down the back of a sweaty disco that someone's left, and you want to put in case they come back for it. Do you know what? Actually, for next week, I think I'm going to have a look around the internet and look for the most bizarre finds in lost property boxes. It's
really funny you should say that, because mine's not looking for. But mine, I have a thing where I love looking at creepy Twitter followers. People who spam celebrities with the weirdest kind of thing just to get them to follow them.
There's your homework for next week. I want a collection. You can make it as small or as large as you want, but I want some prime examples of creepy Twitter followers.
I can't wait. I'm quite excited.
You never know. We might find our next hero of the week in that bizarre bunch of people.
Exactly.
Awesome. In that case, that is pretty much it for episode 2, I think.
I think so, yeah. I hope everyone's enjoyed listening.
Oh, I'm sure they have. Are you gonna finish us off with a mouth trumpet blast before we go?
Go on then.
Oh, that one was a bit more regal than last week. I like it. kind of had a bit of continental flair going on.
It's because Downton Abbey's on this today.
Oh, right. Are you getting in the zone? You're getting in the upper class zone.
I am.
Gather round, all you rugbatters.
She's a good actress, but she's in that category with that woman that does Great British Bake Off, Mary Berry, in the fact that she looks like a reanimated corpse now. She looks so old that she looks like she's been dead and come back to life again.
Oh no! I can't believe you're speaking about Maggie Smith that way.
I mean, she's not as bad as Mary Berry, because that lady is like case zero for the zombie apocalypse.
To be fair, I think Maggie Smith is like nearly 80 or something, so you can't
I
blame.
want to see now. I need to see. I need to compare how old they are. I want to know who's got the strongest zombie gene in them. Is it Maggie Smith or is it Mary Berry? I swear, I've sometimes if Great British Bake Off's on, I'll watch it simply just to see if Mary Berry bites somebody.
Do you know, I've never watched the Great British Bake Off, but I always intend to, and then I just forget that it's on, and then I'll go into work the day after and everyone's like, oh my god, did you see Great British Bake Off?
No, I didn't, but did Mary Berry bite someone? Because that's all I'm watching for. Oh, cakes! More human flesh in your cake!
Brain cupcake.
Oh, yeah. Someone should make that for her. And just have, like, the top of the cupcake like the top of a brain, and just watch her just flip out and just see her eyes and tongue spasm. Brains! Oh, IMDb, why don't you tell me how old Maggie Smith is? Oh. I need to know now. I need to, for preparation.
Well, whilst Bear's looking at that, I'll just give everyone a reminder. If you want to listen to last week's episode, which Bear aptly called 50 Shades of Finnegan, which, you know, if that doesn't get your boat going, I don't know.
I know, right?
Don't know what will.
Maggie Smith is 78. Let's have a look at Mary Berry. Who's got the stronger zombie gene? Who's got the most chance of causing outbreak?
Is it the older they are, the more likely they are to be a zombie?
That's correct. That's the logic I'm applying to this. Oh, they're both 78.
Oh,
Now I'm going to have to check the actual birthday. So Mary Berry, 24th of March. Maggie Smith,
come on, Maggie.
28th of December. Oh, it's Mary Berry.
No.
She's got the strongest zombie gene. She's the one you need to be protected from.
Oh.
Print off her photograph and pin it on the wall as a warning, as a site reference. If you see her, aim for the head. Take her out before she takes you out.
Oh dear.
My pretty brain.